Welcome to AOL. Welcome to AOL Underground.
Can we say your handle in the years you were active on AOL?
Robbie Saunders, and from about like 2000 to like 2004, 2005.
Awesome. And when did you first use a computer?
Yeah, that's a hard one. Since as old as I can remember, yeah, we had computers around. There's pictures of me like 2 or 3 my entire life, basically.
Nice. So were your parents into computers then?
Yeah, my parents were both computer programmers at one time when they got out of college, and my dad, like through his whole career, was a programmer.
Nice. So when did you first get on the internet?
We had BBSs, like my dad was into BBSs, and I had a friend around like kindergarten, first grade, and he had an older brother who was into BBSs, and we would go on there, play like MUDs and like the online role-playing games, thinking that was really, really cool. At some point, like I remember my dad had AOL at some, like, brought it home, booted it up, but yeah, I just remember like dial-up modems, basic web browsing in elementary school. Yeah, like that. Just got into like chat rooms. Like so, the one that I was really into was bought by Excite. It was called Virtual Places, and I would go in there and just thought it was really cool talking to different people all over the world. Thought it was really fun. The ASL, like going into chat rooms and pretending like I was like, an adult, like the typical like 8, 9, 10-year-old boy kind of stuff. Really fun. On Virtual Places, like they had like guest accounts, and they had like the full blown chat software was like had avatars. So you would like have like a picture, and the websites or the chat rooms were websites. So you'd like be avatars on top of a website with like a chat box and typical chat room UI. But the guests were, you would show up as a mug or a cup, like with the logo on it. So people would just calling you mug and cup, and I was just like, I'm not a fucking mug. Like, why do these people keep calling mug and cup? One thing led to another, and discovered the real full blown client, downloaded it, and was like just super hooked. I think this is a really common story. I listened to some more of your podcasts, like just browsing around in those chat rooms, like landed on one where just some kid would come in, or guy or whoever, and just start bombing it with scrollers. They were pretty cool. I remember like the animations and things, both art and really aggravating and annoying. And I just like sought out how to do that. And I don't know like which scene started first or like but like the scene on Virtual Places was a lot like AOL. Like people wrote programs or progs or whatever you want to call them. And like it was really clan based. So like you would hook up with the clan, and like you would write programs and collaborate with the clan to sort of like attack or bomb the other people in the chat room. So so you have like clan wars essentially.
Did you join a clan or start making programs or what?
Yeah. Like the 2 clans that I remember the most were these ones called, one was the Solar Apex, or TSA for short, and the other one was the Black Hand, TBH for short. And you would like get like a little custom frame for your avatar to show that you were like a member, or like both like clans like had some of the best programmers in the scene, and like they would battle each other and like inspire a lot of other people. That's where I got a lot of like mentorship, or like copy things, steal source code, like whatever I had to do as a kid to kind of figure these programs out. Yeah, I mean, I think it was like similar evolution of software. Like you started with like send keys, so I would go and write programs with just like a wall of send keys, no loops, like get pictures of skateboarders and like put buttons for the different scrollers and things. And then you go from send keys to APIs, where you're like using the Windows API to get in there and find the buttons and input them directly. Yeah, from then it was like the proxies, or like the filters, where like you start to take apart the chat protocols. The Black Hand, the leader of that, had this guy named Archon, or like Mike Parniak, and he actually made his own clone of Virtual Places afterward. I was amazed and just addicted, like, and stay up late every night trying to figure out how the protocols worked, and how to use packet sniffers, and how to crash people, and like that. Yeah, it was really fun.
And this is all before you got on AIM, right?
Yeah, like mid to late 90s. And I think it like got shut down right about the time I switched to AOL Instant Messenger. Like, and I was just like looking for the same sort of outlet. Like it was just a really fun creative outlet. Just challenge and immerse yourself. Like more engaging, I think, than like watching TV or even like playing video games. And I really loved it. Yeah.
Were you using Visual Basic then?
Pretty much always VB6. I think I must have been VB5 at one point, but I remember my dad, or one of the big benefits of having programmer parents, like he would go to work and bring home like the real CD-ROM, and I could go and install and had the whatever IDE I wanted. He wasn't a VB6 programmer and didn't like provide any guidance there, but I think parents both supported me with books or classes or whatever I needed. But I really didn't take learning from books. I kind of just learned a lot more from trying to figure it out myself, essentially. Yeah, so more self-taught.
Virtual Places shuts down, and then you find AIM, and you've already like been hacking around Virtual Places, so you kind of know what to do. It sounds like.
Yeah, so I mean, like in virtual places, that like the peak of it, like basically like writing lots of different bots, crackers, like and these like filters and things. So like the filters were a way to like kind of like a firewall to protect yourself from the attacks from other people, because you were in these like clan wars. So like that, so you build your defense, you build your offense would be like more like bots. So you like write programs that would log in 20, 30 accounts and bomb things. And essentially like you take the protocol. If there's a number or a byte, you throw every value in there one by one, and to try and find like holes and things. And so I basically like just took everything I had learned and done on virtual places and just like ported that to AOL Instant Messenger. It had a community of people that I knew and like could connect with, and it was like a new frontier for me too. It's kind of like hey, like I've spent years in virtual places. I can come over here and like as far as I can tell, there's not a lot of people doing this. Like I was also maturing a little bit, like I'm still like very immature, right? I'm like whatever, like 14, 15, 16. And like, but my program started to get a lot better than like, over the years. So it was fun to kind of like port those learnings in a way.
Did any of the people you knew in Virtual Places, did you talk to them on AIM or not?
I must have like kept up with a few people, but I remember, a guy named Blake Robinson and like a guy named Greg who's in Canada, and like from time to time, like I will like or like at one point, like I think in my late 20s, I went through like the web archive, and I have like backups of as many programs as I could find. But occasionally I'll try to like dig up these other people, and I like actually since you reached out about the podcast, I actually like found some Facebook groups and snooping around on Reddit and stuff. So yeah, like it is definitely fun, relive some old memories and stuff. But yeah, I actually haven't met anyone in person or reconnected a lot there. Like so.
Okay, so you got an AIM. When did you decide to make a program, or like what made you decide to just start making stuff for AIM?
I mean, I just made programs for whatever I used on my computer. So if I was playing a game, I would try to find some way to like modify it, like make a cheat for it, or like figure out how the client was talking to the servers. Be a teenager essentially. Yeah, I just remember using AOL. I noticed you could go in, put in a proxy on the regular software like you could on virtual places, and I sniffed around with a socket spy. It's like a Win32 socket spy. It's more like the application layer, looking at like rather than like the TCP IP, like the more like network layer. The protocol seemed pretty standard binary protocol. I didn't really like understand all of it, but like I could write the splitter to like buffer the requests and things. So I wrote AIM filter, and it would basically, as it would receive requests, like you could also generate your own requests, and then like control things coming in or out, right? So you could decide not to send something or block something from being received too.
Okay, that is similar to the filter that you're using on Virtual Places, right?
The exact same concept and idea, just different software and different protocol. So the Oscar protocol.
Can you talk about some of the stuff you decided to make AIM filter do?
Essentially, we would just go through and like try to fuzz everything. Like so like the AOL Instant Messenger had a lot of HTML, over the wire, and like controlling a lot of the rendering for the chat boxes and things. So just putting weird values into the HTML, like trying to like put weird values for different like types, like bytes and things. I feel like they were more buttoned up than Virtual Places was. Like the Virtual Places had just a lot of like, you could throw a weird type in there, or like there was no rate limiting like at one point, and just like I feel like more Wild Westy. But the AOL Instant Messenger had a lot of like HTML bugs essentially, and like using the client in some unexpected ways with like files and warnings and things. Yeah.
So did you find any like exploits where you could cause it to crash and stuff?
Yeah, like I'm pretty fuzzy on like the specifics of like the ones where just like hey, like let's just throw tons of smileys in there, or like the things that are like, like that are expensive computationally, or like and I think there's maybe like one of the first ones were like a font crash. I think I just put like a bunch of like large numbers like in for fonts, iterated from there.
Okay, and where did you like post your program and stuff? Like, how did you distribute it?
Yeah, I had a personal website. I think I came up with the name Ycon Software on virtual places. I had my moniker on virtual places was Wisdom, like Wizdum. And yeah, so I would put up programs, artwork. I don't know how that address like got circulated, just through friends or word of mouth or people. Like, I put them in my programs, and I didn't pay for any hosting myself. I just kind of like I would meet people, make programs, and then people would just have web hosting. And a lot of my like websites are hard to track down because they were just like subdirectories on other people's websites. I would also post like source code after the programs had been out for a while. I remember Planet source code being like like one place to do that. I put on the website too. I was listening to the podcast with Seven, and yeah, I'm really hazy on like where like chat rooms or like the entry to the culture was, I guess, there. But it'd be lovely if I could find someone who remembers that. Yeah.
So since you brought up Seven, do you remember working with him or other people in the community with like exploits or incorporating some of the stuff they found or working together?
Yeah, I remember like Seven and Xeon, and I don't remember much other people. Like I actually reached out to Seven on LinkedIn to ask if he remembers other names. It's just like locked away somewhere up there, and like I just need to see the screen name to kind of unlock the memory. I remember like being more focused on my programs and kind of like what I was working on, but he had talked about the login encryption and stuff, and like I certainly struggled with the login encryption and like like, which is why I was building filters, right? So there was like this evolution of like filter to bot that happened on virtual places, and I couldn't figure the login out, and like I remember having the login shared with us, like and it. I believe Seven, if he said it was his friend. I also don't remember like claiming credit for it, but like I went through all my old source code and stuff, and I definitely used it. I didn't put like their name or credit them like in the source code. You could say I stole it then, I guess. Like the virtual places culture of like, like we're like competing and trying to blow each other up. It was like a very like competitive mindset kind of thing. And I sort of like took that into how I programmed the thing. And so it's like my insecurities in other parts of my life too were also like, hey, like I'm good at this. And like, I just want to like, like just be the best at this one thing because I'm insecure over here, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people just took whatever source code they found and put it in their program and didn't think twice about it. But I guess, yeah, that could rub people the wrong way. We talked about the filter and you would throw random values in it. Do you remember any of the other crashes? Like there was like a kill user, like font crash, file crash, buddy icon warning exploits. Do you recall how any of that stuff worked?
Yeah, I mean, like, so the buddy icon, like, was just the invalid GIF file. Like, that was more of an exploit, I think, of the library they're using for like parsing or like working with the type of image it was. Most of them were, yeah, just large values, unexpected values, or like, if you were working with files, for example, like putting strange characters or trying to walk up too many directories lead to errors with the software. You're talking about vulnerabilities. I do remember like that someone like had published one of them that I had discovered, like, and put an AM filter. And then, so the effect was like a buffer overflow. I love to like figure out how to crash people, but I never like figured out how to like, take a buffer overflow and like have it like execute remote commands. I was just like a kid trying to like wreak havoc. But someone had like published one of the vulnerabilities from this group called Woo Woo. They had recommended the AM filter to like prevent the issue. I remember that was also like a big source of like incoming traffic for my website. When you open AM filter, I remember I had included some like clicks to like a ModChip affiliate network. So I would get like 5 cents per click or something. And so like everyone who would use my program would like they would send some clicks in the background. I remember also putting some like call them like admin commands, but basically if someone was like trying to crash my computer or something, or mess with some of my friends, I could turn their AM filter off or reboot their computer. Like I didn't actually end up using that very often. And I thought that it was kind of like a fair, like trade-off. Like, hey, no one else except for me knew that they were there. Like I never shared them with anybody. After they had recommended this tool, like for a security fix, like I was like, hey, this is getting publicity. Like let's just release source code. Like it's fun. I left all the backdoor like the stuff in there, you know, like I didn't think it was a big deal, you know. I was just like, hey, this is normal. You know, in virtual places, it was really normal. If you released like an offensive tool to put like a backdoor in there so people weren't abusing it. And the mod chip thing, yeah, that was just like an experiment. And honestly, it was always like pulling fucking teeth to like actually get them to pay you, or which is like I think everyone was defrauding each other at that point in time. Anyway, so yeah, so like they like were pretty upset about that, like the woo recommendations. So like that actually got more publicity than the original like vulnerability. And yeah, I remember just like not understanding why that was a big deal. Yeah, like
So every copy of AimFilter had a backdoor, would click affiliate networks. That's awesome. That's really funny.
yeah, it's just like you know, it just like you had a website, put an ad on your website. It's kind of like, hey, they've got these IPs like using my software, like you know, just like a sort of like naive like botnet kind of fraud attack.
But did you actually get paid from the affiliate networks?
Yeah, I remember like your account would say $500, and then they'd be like, no, 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 and then you would complain with them and stuff, and then eventually you'd get like a $25 check in the mail or something. Like I remember doing that a few times, and then just being like, hey, this is not worth the effort. You know, I was like too young to actually go have a job. So like the whatever money I could get, I appreciated, but it just like yeah, it was not profitable for me the way that I was doing it.
So how did the click work? I mean, was it like, did you pass any like refer headers or anything? I'm wondering why they thought, was it just the volume, or was it because like there wasn't a refer header or something like that?
I'm assuming that they saw lots of clicks, which is great, but not a single one of those would pan out to an actual mod chip purchase. So if they're looking at like their KPIs on the customer's end, like the customer's like, hey, yeah, you're sending all this traffic to our website. They're not looking at any other pages. They're not buying anything. Like not even a real browser. Just like the AIM filter would just send some HTTP requests, you know.
Oh, like no user agent and like,
Oh well, yeah, I would use like real browser user agents and stuff, but yeah, like I feel like the advertising performance would be terrible. Like you would just click spam essentially. Yeah.
so you made aim filter. It could kick people offline. You also had the backdoor in it. Do you know what other stuff it did? Do you remember?
There were ways that you could you know, make yourself look like you're away when you're not, or respond with certain kinds of like let's say, you know, like they had this like away message looking thing, so you could like send regular messages and mark them as away. Just like a lot of random things. Like generally, most of the features were doing something different than the stock software would let you do. Virtual places, you would like put spaces in your names, like in things, and like maybe on AIM too, like that for a while, like it was you couldn't put spaces in your name, or so just making yourself look away, or like you sign on and off, like a just unique look on AIM, if that makes sense.
Did you make any other programs for aim?
I remember making one called FB image. I don't remember what the FB stood for, but basically it scanned the bitmap file and put the pixels, convert the pixels into like fonts, backgrounds, in HTML essentially. So you could like convert a basic bitmap into like a bitmap in that you could put into like an instant message or your profile. I also wrote like a program for like sub profiles. It was basically just like a HTTP server. So in your profile, you would put like a link, and it would link out to this HTTP server, and you could like serve like more in depth, like you know, like a pretty decent subset of like what you can do in a web browser. You know, like put extra information there and link out to things. And I remember, like someone else taking that and like really doing a full blown website around that and getting a lot of traffic. Something sub profile. Like I don't know if you were on AIM at all, but they basically just like instead of having to run their own server and use IP addresses, you know, they made a really slick web UI for it. And you just you register an account, and then you could like link people out to your sub profile, and like it was just like a fun way to customize your experience if you're not technical.
So that's pretty cool for the sub profile thing. So where is the HTTP server running? The one you made?
Yeah, it would just run on your computer you know, just you'd have some sockets open listening, just like a regular like you know naive web server written in Visual Basic, and it would respond with whatever files or web pages you wanted to basically.
Oh, cool. I bet a lot of ISPs back then like blocked port 80.
I don't remember that, but like I do remember there were like networking challenges. Like if someone else, like you had to find a unique port, but you could always just like stick the IP and the port in there in your links.
Did you make any other programs?
After AIM filter, I changed the name to IR filter, and I kind of like kept working on that over the years. I also like wrote libraries so that you could connect to AIM. So the first one was like the talk protocol, or TOC, which I think I remember being like a text based protocol. And a lot easier to like reverse engineer, but it had limitations. Like, and I don't remember, like, I think the talk protocol might have been used for like a web UI for the for AOL Instant Messenger, or like Java applet, or something, some sort of incomplete like version of AOL Instant Messenger. Once we had the login for Oscar, like, or the encryption for the login, I packaged that into something called like OSCSOC, is like basically a library for connecting to AIM, and like implemented most of what AOL Instant Messenger did, like, sending instant messages, files, things like that. I do remember actually selling that too, like some spammers at some point, before I had reduced or released the source code for it, like paid me to send them the source code and to like write some programs for them so they could see how to use it. I'm assuming that they went off and spammed people with that, but I remember making like 500, $600 for that, like, which was a lot of money for you. And I remember that like stuck out to me because I was like trying to do these like naive ad fraud, and so so these sort of nefarious ways of generating cash. The sub profile thing, I remember that they had a exploit on their website where you could like a directory traversal, you can just go in and access their credentials and things. And I remember hacking their website. Whenever I'd hack a website, I always put like a picture of my Persian cat Missy on there. I remember having some connection with this person too, because they were able to like contact me I remember that he just ended up PayPaling me a few $100 to give it back. And there's like no questions asked, they just like, here, yeah, like I'll PayPal you some money. And then like I just gave it back. And I was like, it seems so stupid to me, like after like all the trouble I got in like later in life, but stealing credit cards or doing things like that for money, like was never really a turn on for me. Like I don't know what it was. I was just like more interested in like blowing stuff up, or like causing mayhem, or like figuring out how things were working, feeling like powerful in doing that, essentially.
Okay, let me take a step back. You did the sub profile stuff. It was pretty basic. This other dude takes it to another level, starts hosting his own sub profile website. You do directory traversal, take it over, put Missy's picture on it, then hold the site for ransom. Then he PayPal'd you money to get it back?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was quite surprised, and I like, it was kind of like the Wild West though. I mean, like that, I feel like none of the stuff we ever did had many consequences, and it was probably a hell of a lot more effort to like try and have an investigation or get it back, and he's losing ad revenue every hour. It's like with this cat on there, right? I understand why he did it, and I feel bad about it. Like I would happily pay this guy a few $100 if he gets my information. Yeah.
Wow, that's hilarious. And Missy got a lot of views, I guess. Okay, you were causing trouble on the internet, and then in your real life, were you causing trouble?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like did the standard, or I say standard, but like I had a really close friend, Eric, and like we would like put stuff on USB drive, not USB drive, like floppy drives. Like I got like Visual Basic scripts to flood the networks with files and things. Like I said, like mayhem stuff. The district like had this Blackboard system, so you could like log in, and if you were a teacher, you could like, you enrolled your kids in the classroom, and you could use that to send emails and things to people's parents. You could do grade reporting and things like that. It wasn't like the source of truth for any of that, but it was just like an interface for people to have like virtual classrooms and keep in touch with people. It was a big deal for our school at the time. Like, so they spun that out. So like when it got all this like attention to schools, like, hey, I wonder if I could like go in and mess with this, anything I was using at the time, like I would just play around with like that. I remember like registering an email, I want to say it's like one of my social studies teachers. So I can't remember her name. But I registered an email address like on Hotmail, and masquerading as her, emailed the admin for the Blackboard website. Like no problem. They're just like, yeah, hey, we reset your password. So we log in, and this is also my friend Eric, like just playing around. Most of the teachers at the school like did not use it. And you could imagine like the more technical your class, like your graphic design people would use it a lot, and your PE teachers were like the never use it, right? Found out that you could like force enroll people in your classroom, so you could just say put any user into your class, and then you could go and change the password once they're in your class. Like any user, like including all the super admins and the principal, or like whoever you wanted to. So like yeah, like in typical teenage boy fashion, we like took over a bunch of accounts, and like once we had accounts for a while, we're like, hey, let's start having some fun with these. And like so like we would like mess with teachers whose classes we didn't like. I remember like sending out bestiality, so like to all the parents, and like typical teenage boy stuff. And I just remember that like being a big deal at our school, like controversial. And I remember like just like feeding off of that like energy, and like like both Eric and I like could not resist like telling people that was us, like we really enjoyed that. And like but it went on for months, and like it was tough to stop us because like I held on to some like old accounts, like these PE teachers, for example, and like so they kept like refreshing backups, and they'd be like, oh, they're doing it again, let's refresh the backup from 2 months ago. And then like I guess they thought we were like finding new ways to get in. We were just like like they weren't refreshing the backups far enough. That went on until we just kind of got tired of it, like 1 year. And then actually the next year, in my junior year in high school, we were like just going to class like regular, and I got called out during first period to the principal's office. And like I remember like they sat me down and like told me it was like the Secret Service or the FBI, or it's like like some sort of like investigation bureau. And so they sit me down, and I'm like, my heart's pumping. I'm like, oh shit, what did I do? Because like I was doing other stuff online, like I didn't know what was going on. And like they're like, hey, yeah, like we've already sent people to your house, we took your computers, we know everything, like it just like we want to hear your like you need to tell us right now. Like I was just like so scared. I remember just being like just blabbing everything, and like the about the Blackboard system and everything. After that, like we ended up like fighting our case locally, and mostly got like a slap on the wrist. So we both got expelled for a year. So we had to do like homeschool. They let us back in senior year. We go to this like homeschool program, like through the school district. I never found out like who told on us, like, but like so many people knew it was us. Like I don't think that they like forensically like sort of like they seemed pretty naive in that area. But it was just kind of like all it took was like one student to sort of talk about it.
That's nuts, man. So did you do community service too, or?
Oh yeah, I actually did quite a bit of community service. Yeah, I had 100 hours of community service. Remember that? Like, I did most of it. Like, the auto shop guy at the high school was really cool. And I remember, if you went in there and did some of the hard labor, or like like go to the welding class and move a bunch of heavy pieces of metal around, he would like double your hours or triple your hours or whatever. I had to write an essay about it. I don't remember what the essay was about. And I actually had to go a lot of counseling. So you bring back some memories that I haven't thought of. But yeah, like that. I really had a hard time seeing how any of this was a big deal. Like, so it was like really empathizing for other people. Like, I think I lacked a lot of empathy. And so like, I really struggled. Like, I don't understand what the problem is. Like, all I did was just like send some pictures. Like it's not, and so like, I went to counseling and anger management. And so I had to do quite a bit of that. Yeah. I still struggled with empathy for a while after that, but like, I really like, got to understand, how much of a pain in the ass that was for like, for all the different teachers, and like especially the ones that we were harassing directly. So I feel really bad about that one. I tried to track him down at some point, like and to apologize, but it's hard to track people down, or they just don't respond or whatever. Yeah.
That's nuts. I'm seeing some parallels here. Like you started out, you were on the virtual places harassing people, right? But that was the culture, right? That moved to AIM, and you're just like, oh, now I can harass people through Blackboard. This is normal. What's the big deal?
Yeah, I guess as a kid you're just kind of naive too. It's like that, you don't have like the experience of like going to work and just having some kid like bombing your site that you use for teaching your classes, and just that's got to be really frustrating. Like yeah, and like you just don't have the concept of that like as a kid. It's like because you're not out there working, you're not out there like doing these things. It's like that was like I think a positive like learning experience for me, like in empathy, I guess.
After high school, did you continue to hack around?
Yeah, I would say like in college, went to a place called Palmer College in San Diego, and that took up a lot of my like energy, because the classes were more engaging, and I remember like just getting into drinking and drugs and like partying with friends and stuff. But I remember still continuing to make like programs for like any game I played to cheat, or like I tried to like I got really into poker, playing with friends. So I tried to write a poker bot that would like read the cards from different and play Texas Hold'em and try to use the odds. Like I remember buying a poker book and like putting the odds tables in, or like, and trying to figure out the math behind it. Yeah, doing that for a few years. Then I took a pretty like I think a pretty big extended break from programming, and really like started to struggle with my drug addiction. So it was like I ended up like transferring to UCSD. I was really excited about that because I had taken some extension courses in high school, and just like really loved the classes and teachers but like when I actually got to UCSD, I just like remember not being as excited about the teachers, and and I had this like I developed like an opiate addiction, and so like I might be like the best student in the world like when I could get my drugs, and then like I just suddenly couldn't get a connect through, and then I would miss a final or something, and like was really trying to like hold this like structure together of my life, like when I really needed to get some help for myself, and eventually just like kind of like dropped out. Roughly like my senior year, I started working with my girlfriend at the time. She worked at a video game company. I started like editing text for them, they were localizing video games, and so like I would do programming there, doing websites and backends for websites and writing programs for help with localization, just kind of like applying my skill set. Found that I was good at that, and it was like a lot of fun. I was like, hey, like maybe I don't need to go to school for this, or like and like doing positive things with my skill set instead of trying to blow things up. It's kind of like my first experience of that, and I really enjoyed it. But ultimately, like sort of after my dad died, just like the drugs like took over my life again, and I like just sort of like lost all of that, and so when my life had fallen apart, like I had this like maybe it's all the insecurity or these negative emotions and things, and so like the hacking became like more of like another outlet for me. So like I would remember just like sitting in my room for like all day, like just like sad. And like I got into like Wi-Fi hacking big time. So I wrote some programs that helped some of that, but I just remember like going around and buying some fancy antennas and just like cracking tons of the different Wi-Fi networks and stuff, and like really getting into that, and that was fun. And just like continuing to take things apart. But like when I worked at this video game company, I had been building like customizations for their NetSuite system. And like I did a lot of integrations with like their fulfillment companies. I feel like this NetSuite thing's pretty cool. Like we've used it and done like a lot of really interesting things. But like I really hated writing software, like using their like libraries and packages. So I'm like, I'm gonna go and like just make my own thing, right? And I'm like a full blown addict at this point, and sort of like not in my right mind at the same time. So it's my life fell apart in Orange County at this time. So I flew up to Daly City. It's like in south of San Francisco, and just bought an apartment there, and just moved up with my other cat Ashes, and just sat at home and trying to like figure out like how to build this product, and also like tweaking around with all kinds of other programs and artwork, and I feel like when I'm overwhelmed with emotions, it's just those kind of outlets for me are just really attractive. So like I just immersed myself in art and programming and things. But I'm in this apartment trying to build this stuff for NetSuite, and trying to like really like take apart their APIs and figure out how to make their libraries better, or like build this product that I thought I was building. In the process, just found like many vulnerabilities, and I think like throughout the time I had continued to find other vulnerabilities and exploit things in other websites. And like for me, it was like never really about like money or like nefarious sort of like purposes. I would usually like just break in, take over the system, and then I would like share with them like, hey, like send an anonymous email, like here, like you got these exploits, you should fix them. So it kind of like I don't think you call it like gray hat hacking, or really it was kind of like a really fun way to get that like hacking rush. Like I'm not supposed to be here right now. Like that helped me escape my deep sadness, and then but also not really doing anything that like leaving any sort of like negative after effects for me. I felt like it didn't feel bad about it at the end of the day. And but yeah, so I find these vulnerabilities in NetSuite systems, and like the case in point was like this thing where they had an offline version of NetSuite. So they're like a software as a service online platform, and they had this offline version. And it connected to some old servers that they deprecated, or like they basically deprecated the product, but they left the servers running. I mean, they had tons of other problems. I did tons of other tried to get access and things, and played around with things, but This was like, I found like a SQL injection exploit in their systems. If my history has like given anything, like I was used to just like pushing boundaries, like getting into systems, like uh, ransoming things, and just like never really like I've always had people just like reach out and be like, hey, like why are you doing this, or like what's going on, like this delusion that like I'm using my name, my email address, like on all this NetSuite stuff. Like it might be like my neighbor's Wi-Fi, but like it's like it's I'm here, right? Like they'll probably reach out and be like, hey, what are you doing? I run, like I start pulling data out of their database. And when I did that, it created like some network spikes on like some servers. And like that kind of alerted them to my presence. And I could have taken all their credit card numbers, like all their account passwords. I mean, it was a really bad, vulnerability that they had. And I'm sure like that, like, yeah, like NetSuite was just trying to cover their ass, but like, yeah, so like they got the FBI involved. And then like shortly thereafter, like, the FBI, slams in my door and like, took all my computers and like, they brought me down to the van. And, I asked for a lawyer like 15, 20 times. And they just said like, yo, you don't need a lawyer. You're not in trouble. You're not in trouble. Like that, they wouldn't give me a lawyer. And they ended up lying about that, later on, in court. Even with this first case, like go around, where I just I was a scared little kid. I share everything. Now I'm this like sad drug addict person who just like, I really need help, and it's like, so I basically just explained to them the story of like finding this exploit and thinking they would reach out to me. And like, I'm not like, I'm not involved in any crime like that, like seemed like, okay, maybe this thing's just going to blow over. Right. And then went back to my apartment, but like really that was like the start of like a really huge downward spiral for me. So I was bad at that point, but just like, man, I gave up in life. I stopped paying rent. I started going like hotel to hotel, until I ended up in my grandparents' basement, and had some really weird experiences. So I'm using drugs, and people who use uppers or downers, some people like hallucinate and create these like really paranoid delusions, but like they literally were following me. Like they came up in court, like where they it really fucked with my head at the time, So I'm in these hotels, and I remember having this experience where like the cops like started banging on my door, open the hotel room, like ask if it was me, and then once they found it was me, then they just said okay, and they left. I don't know what that was, but just really like weird experiences, and like just my mental state degraded until the FBI came to my grandparents' basement, to my grandparents' house. And arrested me there, and thank God, because that was like the start of putting my life back together. But I was in Portland, Oregon. They shipped me to Las Vegas and then to the Northern California, the San Jose, where I was in jail for like 3 or 4 months. Got out, went to rehab. Just started like piecing my life together, and met my wife, at a yoga class, while I was on pretrial, and I don't know why she didn't like walk away when when I told her the whole story, but eventually I ended up pleading guilty to damage or intentional damage to a protected computer system. Sorry. I remember that was a really hard moment for me because I wasn't trying to like intentionally damage their systems. Like I was just pulling some information out. But like the way the feds they really just kind of screw you over. It's like they originally had this really great public defender. He was like really articulate, and was carrying, and he was like trying to like convince me to plead guilty to a slightly lesser charge, or a different something about like taking the information from the system for like commercial gain, essentially, which I was like adamant, like, hey, I wasn't trying to like steal this information to go sell it to people or make any money on it whatsoever. I was like a sad, lonely person testing the boundaries, essentially. So I was like, okay, I think I'm just want to take this to trial. And then once I made the decision to take it to trial, then they passed me off to another public defender who was not not as good. He met with me the first time, but he was supposed to be lining up witnesses to go and testify to the different technical aspects and things. It was getting really close to our trial date, and he was not lining the witnesses up, and the feds, I mentioned I was an addict. When my dad passed, he had some guns. So I had a couple of my dad's guns, no bullets, nothing loaded, never really fired them since I was a kid. But they were in my closet, and that's a federal felony. If you using any illegal substance and and you have possession of guns. So they tried to tack that on, and and then I'm there like weighing should I take this gun and drug charge, or should I take a computer hacking charge that I didn't do? And I eventually just was too scared to ask for help from people, and too scared to to get sent to prison for a long time. So I ended up pleading guilty to something I feel like I didn't do. That was really hard. Like sitting in the courtroom and just your whole body flares up, and you're just no, I didn't do this. And they check with you are you sure? I'm like, yes. And that was that was a hard moment, and I feel like a pivotal moment in my life where I feel like I need to kind of stick up and for what I believe in and stuff. So and ask for help, and if I go back, I would have changed it. But the prison itself was not bad. That was just kind of like a summer camp, I guess. Or I only got 12 months total. So I had served some time in jail, and not too bad.
I get being under the influence, whatever, but then you have an unloaded gun, but the crime that's being committed is on the internet. It's not like you having a gun's going to affect anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I don't think that they also didn't want me for those charges. They're like a computer crimes investigation unit, and it's I don't know if they even really get that counts for whatever their scores are. I would have happily put, ultimately, I did a misdemeanor, and then I pled guilty to a felony. I had to pay, I think I'm still paying some restitution, but a little over $100,000, in restitution. When I took the information out, they had engineers working overnight, overtime, trying to figure out what's going on, and people in the PR thing, essentially all of their response teams working overtime, scrambling to not have this be a huge problem for them, because it was basically it could have been really bad. Had I been in there a more nefarious type of hacker, it would have been bad for them.
Interesting. Well, it changed your life though in a good way, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I needed, I was a very stubborn person. I sort of I feel needed this really dark bottom experience to sort of let go of some of my character defects or whatever to get to the next phase of my life. So in the grand scheme of things, yeah, I mean I live a totally honest life now, and it's on some level I needed that.
So did that affect your ability then to get employment? What happened after that?
When I was fighting my case, they call it pre-trial, right? So I got out of rehab, and there was a guy from Goodwill who had came in, and they have job programs for addicts and people who are coming out of prison. So he had come in to the rehab I was at and said, hey, you can come get a job at Goodwill. We have programs, we hire anybody. I wasn't looking for any major commitments. I was really trying to put my life together, and I was yeah, I mean I'm just gonna go to Goodwill. So I didn't have a car. I could just walk there. So I ended up going to Goodwill, applied for a job to do some technical stuff for them, and then instead of contacting me for that, this other guy reached out about selling car detailing. So he reached out, and I'm sure, I'll come down for an interview. So I started selling car detailing to local car dealerships. So they had a jobs program where they would teach you how to detail cars. You work somewhere long enough, there's some marketing or some kind of website kind of stuff for the car detailing business. And eventually, people found out that I had these skills, and so I started building their websites, and then I started doing working with building integrations for their data pipelines, and then just they eventually just I started doing the full-time software engineering for them, writing software to track donations and working on data and things. My wife ended up getting pregnant when I got out of prison, and had our son. And when my son was born, I remember being on paternity leave, and just kind of going crazy, not using my mind to create things or program or whatever. And I would do these I think it's called Code Signal now, but basically you go online and do programming challenges against people. So when my son was sleeping, I would be battling away on that. And the company I'm at now, the recruiter reached out through them. It's the whole code fights thing is just kind of a thin veil for recruiting software engineers. And it was just the right time. I was struggling with the benefits and we needed some money. So I interviewed and like just really liked the company and the people that I met, and like I still work there. But I remember when they called me to have the offer, I remember talking with like all my people in recovery, and just like I got to tell them, I got like had other people. Personal friends and things like that, like being like, "Oh, you can't tell them, no way!" Like, and like, so I got like a lot of conflicting information. But yeah, I went in there and was just like, "Hey, yeah, just so you know, I got in trouble and this and that, and I explained like my side of it briefly, and and they didn't like I'm sure they did some like additional research or whatever, but like yeah, like they let me on board, and still there and still happy. So I'm one for one on the interviews there, but I feel like if you understand the story, that it's like I don't see how it would like really influence like or should influence my employability at this point. It's like, but I would love it if they would eventually drop it or something. Yeah.
It sounds like you're doing full-time software development now. Is that right?
Yeah. I'm like more on the management side now, but one of the things that I like learned through a lot of my hard experiences is that like I really needed more like socialization or social connection. When I was younger, I just wanted to be really technical. I just wanted to be like the most technical person, and like I was, was insecure about everything else. It was just like, okay, I just need to be the best at this one thing, and like I just want to code. Don't talk to me. And so like the once I like through Goodwill and like through some consulting and stuff, I found that like I really like talking to people. It was like really helpful for me. But I did need to have that technical challenge. I started as a solutions engineer. So just wanting to do software engineering and talk to people more.
But you still have this whole past of SQL injections, structure traversals, et cetera, et cetera. Do you ever think about like making the switch to offensive security? Have that crossed your mind?
Yeah, it definitely has crossed my mind, and yeah, I know people who work in security, and and they love it. Like I do feel like when it comes to offensive security, I feel like I'm best at that when I'm in like a dark place in my life. So I mentioned this like insecurity, and like just for me personally, it's just like so much easier for me to sink myself into like the challenge, or like the like trying to solve how to break into the system. When I'm in that space, one of the teams I manage at my company now like fights ad fraud, so I feel like, and I feel like I apply a lot of the same skills in what I do today, which is like, if you think of like a good offensive, computer hacker or something, it's like being able to like reverse engineer things and come up with creative ways to use systems essentially. And so I get to do that in my day job, and it kind of keeps me satisfied. Yeah. It's like a really fun job, doing that, yeah. And yeah, I like the security engineers at our team, or our company for sure.
Cool. So I guess with the threat modeling, you get to scratch the itch then.
Primarily, I like to create things, like to figure out how things are working, and I like to hacking is that, like, in a lot of ways you get to like figure out how things are working, and then like create things, and like sort of push boundaries and figure out how things are working, and like or how to make them do things they're not supposed to, and like as long as I'm like getting to do that in my day job, then it's like it scratches the same itch. Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to share today?
I think we talked about like the whole wisdom thing, and it's just like like a lot of the stuff I did is just like so immature and misguided, but I'm really grateful to like have all those experiences in my life, and like I feel like I wouldn't be who I was without those. So yeah.
Nice. Your program obviously touched a lot of people. Like Seven is one of them. He wouldn't be where he's at had you not created it. So it's crazy the butterfly effect that some of your programs had.
Yeah, and like people like Seven and Xeon like working with me, and being fans of like my programs back in the day, like helped fill me up a lot. So yeah, I'm really grateful for everyone. Yeah, like both on virtual places and AIM who I've got to like work with in the past, and yeah, I wouldn't be able to learn without those people either. So like yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Hack the planet. Hack the planet.
Welcome to cyberspace.